Hey, all you wonderful, beautiful people out there. It's your boy, Andy Peliquin, coming at you with another How to Have...
Wait, you're Andy Peliquin today? Wait.
I was, but I was going to really tarnish your name, and I was like, damn it. I ruined the joke because I'm too nice. It was going to have something to do with intercourse. It got away from me.
And that's 23 seconds in, and we're already off the rails. Welcome to the
23 on me.
Show, guys.
Yeah. I'm Stevie Collier. I write stuff sometimes, mostly amazing stuff. And I'm here with Andy Peliquin. You probably know him. He's written a book or two, maybe like 3. But more importantly than Andy, not me. God, that was me. Sorry. Kathryn and FP Spirit, we're calling him Frank. They are the authors of a super cool series called... Well, now I've lost it. Heroes of Ravenford. Raven's one of my favorite words. Kathryn jumped in on this series for book 4 and book 5. Apparently, she came out with some amazing characters. We're going to get into all that shiz. Kathryn, Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What color underwear are we all wearing today? Let's just break the ice. I am not wearing any skin tone. No, but really, Kathryn, Frank, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Kathryn, you want to start?
Sure. So
Put her on the spot. I'm sorry.
right.
I'm terrible.
Nah, I'm used to it. So small town Oklahoma girl, ENFP.
No way.
Yes.
I'm an ENFP.
I thought I remembered that. So
Oh, you've seen our show before.
Yes, I have seen your show before. I've watched you guys off and on. I'm not sure how long. It's been a while.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, fellow ENFP.
Hey, I'm an FP.
Yes.
Are you?
Stevie, come on. You got to be a little faster on the uptake there.
Yeah, he got me. Frank,
Ouch.
he got me.
Briggs Myers humor for the win.
This is that. We're a very intelligent podcast.
There we go.
So, Kathryn, you're an ENFP. You're from Oklahoma. You love dragons.
Yes.
Who's your favorite author?
Favorite author.
It's not hard. He's right below you.
I know. Yeah, I'm trying not to make his head swell on camera.
No, me, not Frank. Let it be Frank. Let me be frank with you. I'm going to stop the Frank.
You get one of those. You used that, so no more of those.
I'm not doing any more Frank jokes. Frank, I apologize. Okay, but I like this idea of asking who your favorite author is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Kathryn?
Oh, I think it's pretty good. It can give you a lot of insight onto people.
Awesome. And Frank, what about you, man?
Oh, my favorite author? Well, she's right above me over there.
Yeah, there you go. Brownie points. Awesome.
I know.
You're going to have Kathryn as friend forever. And Frank, a little bit about yourself?
Let's see. I live in New Jersey, which is, I don't know, nothing to brag about.
Best state ever.
Best state ever?
Yeah.
Is that where you're from?
No. I went to the airport
The way he said
scared.
that. No.
No, not being rude, but I was just scared walking out. I'm like, this is busy. This is not Texas.
No, not at all.
Touching.
Yeah, actually South Jersey, so that's much better.
Mm.
Born and raised, and oh God, been here forever, my entire life. So let's see. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm a software developer in my real life, and fantasy fiend and sci-fi fan in my spare time.
We have had people like you, Frank. Just software and fantasy. It's always fun. Do you put software into your fantasy somehow?
No. Completely divergent.
I would think so. Yeah. But I think I heard your New Jerseyan accent come out. You're like, I don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Forget about it.
Forget about it. So
yeah, there you go.
The first time I ever I own a business with my dad, and I do the customer service in the morning. And I had this guy from Brooklyn, and I talked to him twice on the phone. In the second phone call, he was threatening my life and calling me. I didn't know a lot of these variations of the F word.
Right.
He knew I had a big nose too. Like, how does he know that? I don't get it. But I was so mad. And then I walked away. I'm like, or is that just Brooklyn? No. So I'm thinking it's like a perfect storm of a person from Brooklyn who's just also psychotic. But I love.
That sounds pretty regular, actually.
Oh, I don't belong in Brooklyn, Frank. I would not get along there. I don't think Kathryn would either as an ENFP. Maybe she would. I don't know.
No.
I think she might kill a few people first, but that.
Yeah, like that's where all the crazies go in my mind, and I mean, crazies should not mix.
Be a crazy. Awesome. Well, guys, talking to you, YouTubers and podcast listeners, we've got a great show for you today. We are talking about the give and take of relationships. It's going to be a completely serious topic. We're not getting off on any tangents, right, Andy? Right?
No, you can't make that promise, Stevie.
Okay, I won't make that promise. But we do have a great show for you. But you guys know what we got to do. We got to talk about something cool that's happened to us recently. Andy, do you have anything to say?
You know what? I do have or at least one thing to say.
Okay.
Something super awesome is that book. I'm trying to remember what book it is. Book 7 of the Cerberus series just released on Tuesday. Shadow Killer. Super excited about that.
Love that cover.
An awesome cover. Oh, and the cover for book 8 is just like totally unrealistic, like absolutely 100% cool factor over realism. But it is such a cool cover. I just posted it in my Andy Peliquin's Literary Legionnaires book. Loved it. Actually, when the artist originally created, I'll just show you guys because it's so cool.
Yeah, I was going to say.
When the artist created it, he gave it an awesome title that I will explain as soon as that makes perfect sense as soon as you see it. So let me just load that up. Sorry, it's going to take a second. All right, here we go. So this is the cover. Sorry, I got to share the screen. This takes a minute. Here we go. Oh, application window. Boom. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the covers now. I freaking love those. Is it the same guy who does Ruz Buzel?
I don't know what
Ruz
Buzel is.
He's a sci-fi Ross.
That is awesome.
Okay, so when the artist originally sent it to me, the title was Cerberus, a parachute porn parody, just because the whole scene. Basically, I wrote the whole scene so that I could get Nolan with the hot girl strapped in front of him, and the artist loved it. He was like, "Oh yeah, this is absolutely it's just parachute porn." So that was the
parachute porn.
That was the title, Cerberus. It was like Cerberus 99, a parachute porn parody, and I laughed so hard when I saw that. So that is actually that the book just went off to ARC readers today, like a couple hours ago, and it's set for release November 24th, 3 days before my birthday. Super excited about that. Book 8, making good progress on book 11. I am probably about 2/3 of the way into the rough draft. Sort of shit's just going off the rails in all the most enjoyable ways. And so this is when things start getting active and people die, and people, like, lots and lots of people die. So I'm super excited to sort of, that second act sort of is when it sags and when you kind of have to, like, all right, what the hell am I doing here? But then once you sort of pick up steam and you get to that final act, you're gearing up toward the climax, these big epic moments, that's when it starts getting fun. And my last bit of good news is that I'm recording a short story as an audio, doing the voices and stuff, the narrative all myself. So I am almost done with the narrative of like the first 40%, the narration and stuff. So as soon as I finish cleaning it up today, I will record the voices tomorrow. And it's been tons of fun. I'm learning a lot about the whole audiobook narrating process. I might actually start doing it a little bit on the side.
Hey now, dude, totally. I agree. You're great.
So I gotta practice voices. I've got to learn like some of the harder voices to do, like kids' voices or a wide variety of female voices. But I get to have fun playing around with this kind of stuff all day. So I'm super excited about that. I've been putting in about an hour to half an hour to an hour every day on it, just because I can't go to the gym right now because I injured my back last week. So it's like, all right, I'm going to make use of this time and do this. And so it's been a ton of fun.
Rebecca's got good advice on back pain. Hers really helped me. So, Rebecca, repeat those in chat, please. Dude, Andy, man, you just had a ton. You got to do that narration, man. You've got a talent. You got to do it. Kathryn, Frank, anything?
Mhm.
What's going down in New Jersey? New Jersey.
All right. Well, I actually just had a book release as well.
Woohoo!
Yeah. All right. So the first series we were just talking about, Heroes of Ravenford. Well, the second, it continues on. Basically, these characters, they did not end everything they needed to do. I mean, it does have a climactic end to the entire series, but there's always unfinished business. So these guys have like a whole brand new thing going on after that. Things just get wild and crazy where they have like world earth-shattering type problems happening, like demon invasion, for instance. Okay, so it's just so they're getting involved in all this kind of stuff. So I got a whole new second series covering all that, and that series is called Rise of the Thrall Lord. And yeah, it gets pretty gnarly because the Thrall Lords are pretty nasty, or the Thrall Masters are a pretty gnarly group of people. They almost destroyed the world maybe about 150 years ago. Yeah. So we're talking about, more world destruction type stuff if these guys don't get their act together. So like I said, I have the first book, which if I can jump across, what I'm going to do is when Kathryn starts talking, I'm going to jump across the room real quick and go get that book just to show you the cover. Oh yeah, that's the one. In fact, thank you. Okay.
Wait, was that Can hold
Show
on
it again.
Is that a hard copy or like a paperback?
This is a paperback.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, how did you get the hard copy? That's awesome.
Hard
Andy,
copy.
I might do gloss next time, Andy. I like that gloss.
Gloss is hard because it's got fingerprints all over it.
It's darker too, right? Or is that?
I've been handling this book for a while now, and there are no fingerprints on it. And the gloss, it looks stinking amazing. Anybody who sees me carrying this around just has to comment on it.
Oh, I do that too. I like kind of tape mine to my chest so people have to ask me about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm an author. I don't eat well. I don't like non-prosperity jokes. I don't like them, but I think they're kind of funny sometimes. I don't.
No, they're great.
Well.
They're absolutely great.
I ate part of my keyboard last week. I spelled out the word hot dog. So stupid. Andy, why'd you let me say that joke? Well, Kathryn,
notice he's blocking himself from you now, I think.
Honestly, sometimes it gets pretty bad, and like he just has to go off camera sometimes.
I'm sorry.
No, Frank, is there anything else? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no. That's so. I mean, I'm really excited about that, and I have to give kudos to the. Okay, so I'm actually working with two artists. It's kind of strange, but okay. So since the very beginning, all my books, all the covers, they I started off with a different artist, but when I started getting these new covers done, it was all this guy Jackson Joda. He is phenomenal. I know a lot of people work with him these days, and he's done all my covers there. He did this one, and I saw Jackson Tjota, TJOTA. You can find him on DeviantArt. He's just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So, anyway, now I've seen him do everything. I think he's done cards for Magic the Gathering and other things too. So he's been around for a while. Very, very, very good artist, and love the guy. Been working with him for about 6 years now.
Whoa. So, yeah, I don't even know if he's going to take on new client. I think I've actually reached out to this guy. Just finding him on ArtStation, I never heard back. Is he like 500 a cover?
Yeah, somewhere around. I think it's more than that, a little bit.
A little bit more. Okay. Yeah, I paid like 550, 600 for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's a phenomenal guy to work with, and it's funny because the one thing I got to work on with is he's just, whenever he's doing covers, he always likes to make the costumes as skimpy as possible, guys and girls both. So
yeah, there was a conversation between he and I about my character.
Was it like too much clothing? I get it.
Way too much clothing.
No. He like put on no clothing, and I was like, cover that girl up. She's a country girl. You put some clothes on her.
Yeah, you make her look like a scarecrow, okay? That's what I want to see, right? She's getting ready for church, okay? She may put on some blue jean shorts afterwards, maybe, but after that, no. I get it, because I from a small part in Texas, small town in Texas. I said something really hillbilly yesterday. I can't remember, thank God, because my ass would say it. Awesome. Well, Frank, dude, congrats.
Yep.
Beautiful covers. That was the first thing I noticed. Kathryn, you really snagged yourself a good one. Oh, wow. And the people who also bought from you, Kathryn, are Michael Anderley and Eric T. Knight, Aileen Mueller. You got Arthur Slade. I know all these guys. You've got y'all are doing something right. Kathryn, something good that happened to you recently.
Well, on Monday, I finally became an aunt. So I got my first nephew.
Nice.
I don't have any nieces yet, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then it hasn't happened yet, but we're going to go camping tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. So.
Weather's a bit better for it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, that Texas August, I was about ready to kill somebody. Anyone.
Yeah. Oklahoma summers are not kind either. Yeah.
Oh, I bet they're not. Tumbleweed.
I think you guys get a little more humidity sometimes, but yeah.
Maybe.
Well, awesome. Was there anything else, Kathryn?
Not that's coming to the top of my head. I'm alive. All my kids are alive. That's something to be grateful for.
Definitely. Yeah, we like to start the podcast with something a little bit more positive before Andy brings us into the depths of darkness. No, we can get pretty dark on this podcast, Andy, and I can actually be serious sometimes, and I think it takes people.
We don't get dark; we get real.
Jesus, no, real is happy. Real is happy, Andy. Says the idealistic MBTI. I could hear Lisa just going like, "Oh no, alive is pain." Anyway, so I actually have a lot of cool stuff, and I'm going to go through them real quickly. Usually I just talk about surfing or something, but I do have some cool news. I have released chapter 3 of the series I'm just giving out for free. It's a passion project, which means I don't give a crap what other people think about it. I'm not trying to market it. It's so much fun. And I have to say, it's my best writing yet. That is Ninja and Fox. You can find it on Wattpad. Damn it. Every freaking line. What is it?
You had it right the first time.
So I double screwed myself. Okay. Wattpad and Royal Road. Go check it out. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. Another cool thing is, just like Andy inspired me. I think I'm going to actually be doing the audio for the book. Just for fun, I'm put on YouTube, and I was going to ask Andy if he'd like to play some characters.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, we would just get on this and just kind of just talk it through.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. And there was something else cool. Book 3 is edited. I'm finishing up the 3rd edit, and it should be releasing soon. But I think there's something else, but if I remember, I'll just kind of tack it in, add it in at the very end. But yeah, lots of cool things going on. So yeah. So let's move on to the topic of the day, which is the give and take of relationships. Oh boy. Whose idea was this?
This was Frank's
his.
idea.
It was his.
Frankie. You probably don't like being called Frankie.
Hey, no, that's fine. I don't care.
Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts.
No, bad, Stevie.
No, that's a good song. That's a good song.
No, the song itself is not the problem.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll agree with you on that.
There'll be no singing in Camelot.
Yeah, exactly. When you guys suggested this podcast this topic a couple of weeks ago, I was like, let's talk about it. And it's awesome. And then yesterday or on Tuesday, my wife was listening to a podcast, and the podcast said something super interesting that just goes right along with this. And so it's talking about sort of marriage and the difference between marriage now and marriage, say 50 years ago, where, back in the 1900s, the early to mid 1900s, marriage was the end all and be all. Once you were married, that was it. You were kind of married for life. Even to, the late 1900s, 1970s, 80s, even 90s, divorce was never an option. But now, divorce is not only an option for everybody, it's so like destigmatized where it's like, you're not happy, you get a divorce. It's just the most normal thing in the world. And so now, because divorce is so much of an option, relationships take that much more work. Before, you were like, well, I'm married, so that's kind of my life. I'm unhappy. Well, I'm unhappy for the rest of my life because it's my marriage. Now you're with someone, you're choosing to be with them. And that's why it takes so much more work to sort of make a happy relationship now than it ever did before. And that was a really interesting thing to me, that modern relationship requires so much more work. And I think it's really true, as someone who's been in a relationship for 11 and a half years, which is not, a super major achievement by many people's standards, but it's been 11 and a half years of pretty intense work. I'm not going to lie. The kind of work that you love doing. So what in the story inspired this idea for you, Frank?
Oh, for me? Well, I guess, so my stories, there's not really one main character. It's a slew of characters. I mean, there's at times where it can get up to like almost about 10 different characters going back and forth, and yeah, which makes very interesting conversations. But then there's a lot of give and take, and there's a lot of stepping on toes. There's a lot of picking on each other. There's so much back and forth. So after a while you just realize, but one of them, there's a couple of themes in there. One of the biggest themes is learning to get along with each other. There's friendship, there's tolerance, there's learning to get along. It's just and frankly, if we don't learn to get along, we're going to die. So it's a little bit more skin in the game in your fantasy world in that respect. So it just, I mean, it just kind of played to it. And then I was thinking about me and Kathryn and how we managed to work together, and actually we managed to put 2 books together. And I was like, that's a lot of work as well, so it's like that's what really kind of brought that to me. And then even in her books, there's a lot of things. Yeah, she's up there, right?
Yeah.
In her books, there's, I mean, again, there's a lot of relationships back and forth. She's got, which Kathryn, you really should talk about your first book if you get a chance, because I know she's rewriting it, and it's light. I mean, the first one I loved, but this second one is just awesome in comparison, and it's just with the second go through that she's doing the rewrite, and her characters just. They've got a lot of things going on. I mean, from the one guy who just completely, I mean, when he's an orphan, his entire village gets wiped out, and then he's got some real strange relationships that come out of that. So,
yeah, that's putting it mildly.
So anyway, that's really what spawned this idea, and then just life in general. I mean, it's like, so, you're an author, and that requires a certain amount of weirdness. I'm sure that's a shock to you guys, but, and then it's like, so you have characters and you talk about them, and then God forbid, you start talking about like what you're writing and stuff. And I know my kids don't want to hear it half the time. My wife will listen patiently sometimes, and she'll be like, that's enough, go talk to your author friends. And which is why I have author friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I get the phone call. So listen to this.
Exactly. So yeah, I've gotten some calls back though. So it's not just all me, but anyway, I mean, this is what it's like. There's relationships no matter where you go. And you're right. It's a different world these days. I mean, I remember my parents were together, from, my entire life, till they both passed. And it was just, and they, I mean, I will say, I think they did work hard on their relationship, but they never thought, I mean, you're right. They never thought about divorce. That wasn't a thing back then. So
yeah, I can't say a lot about that. But I know, man, this is dark. Not dark. This is very close. There's someone very close to me that they should have had a divorce a long time. And, when many, many years have gone by, you can say like, oh, well, there's always time to do it, but not when you're very, very Southern and very, like you said, Frank, that wasn't just a thing. That just wasn't really a thing. And then those kind of stigmas go with you throughout life, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do actually.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I've been married like, oh God, let's see, since 80. So 33 years, going on 33 years. And, had ups and downs, and, there's been really great times. There's been really sucky times. We've got 2 kids together. I love them to death. Sometimes I want to kill them, but I love them to death. They're great. And actually, I never did get them. Just real quick. So the premise behind these books, it all started off as a role-playing game. So, and
with your
both
boys.
with my boys. So Seth is one of my sons, and one of the other characters, which Stevie, I think you'll enjoy Seth, but we'll see.
Okay, that's who I'm reading, right?
Yes, that's who you're reading.
Is Seth is like one of your real sons?
Yes, actually, although in my
now-
youngest son's words, Seth's a horrible person. Seth just has no filter. He just says whatever he's damn thinking at the time. So that's what he is.
Wow, that sounds like my brother. So yeah, I probably will like Seth.
So
Wow.
and my other son was the character Lloyd, who's this very straight-laced hero type guy who really just wants to save everybody, and that's really fits. But and I played one of these. I played the wizard, who Andy, you seem to be interested in, so that'll be cool. But yeah, and well, Kathryn never got a chance to play in this game, but we wrote her a character because she wanted to be part of it really badly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was his number one fan, like from the get-go, and so I like fangirled my way into these books.
That's awesome. That's a big thing. That's kind of how I met Andy. Was just, it's not called fangirling, right? It's like, is it fanboying?
Yeah.
In your case?
Oh, you monster. Were you going to say I am fangirling it? Well, yes, I was. Okay, the operation was a success a year ago. Okay. Andy, is that too far?
No, that's.
Oh, okay.
That's classic Stevie.
Oh, I'm within the lines.
Ooh.
Wow, how far does
No, you've never been within the line.
Oh, okay. I was going to
That's
say,
the
like,
thing.
I need to up my game.
Expand the box, Steve. Expand the box.
That's what he said. Yeah. I'm sorry. That was too much. I apologize. Sorry, Jesus. That wasn't a joke. I am Christian. Right, Andy? Andy's my priest. Okay, this is getting weird. I'm sorry. So let's talk about relationships. The give and take. There's a thing. So not taking is a problem. So when someone is giving a lot, we always see that, right? But we don't see the other side of someone just not really accepting it. Or so are we saying taking is they're not accepting it, or they're just not seeing it? So like the wife does the dishes all the time. She cooks the food, and the guy just goes and grabs a beer and sits on the couch.
Well, that's taking. That's taking.
That's taking. Okay, yeah. So I'm just making it more complicated. Yeah. So what about someone who just doesn't take? How would that work?
I've had to work with primarily kids in the past that they refuse to accept love, and it's you do a good deed and they throw it back in your face, and it's just over and over and over again. And I've seen some adults who they grow up into that, and so it can be a thing. It's not as common. Most people find it more beneficial to just take and take and take, but there are some that they don't know how to take. They don't want to take, but they can't give either, and they can't even take just a little bit, so they just throw it back into everybody's face. And it's hard to work with those sorts of people because you're literally hitting a brick wall.
So as an ENFP, how do you do that? I feel like I would lose patience, and then I'm just like, you're lost cause. Next. I'm a caring person.
That's usually my first response is, okay, and I'm going over here now. But just in my experience, it's very, very hard. I've only had one kid come around for me. I used to do a lot of juvenile counseling and stuff. And in those cases, most of the time, I only got one kid to come around, and it was a really, really hard situation. And I was just able to be at the right place at the right time and get an insight into his life. And then I was able to just touch that part of him that wasn't accepting anything, and it just broke him. And at that point, I mean, the whole brick wall came down and everything, and he was able to just gush and let everything out. And then he started figuring out how to do a little bit of take. And then we started talking about, okay, you know, I do this and your mom does this for you. And so this is how you are going to show us that you really do love us and that you appreciate this. And so we had to go into how do you show someone else that you do love them? And how do you know when someone else loves you? And that was a big thing with him, is that he didn't know what real love looked like. So he didn't know when to take it, and he had no clue how to give it.
Was so I thought you were going to say, yeah, I fixed them all.
No,
I wasn't in it at all. So now I'm just
I would wear that badge proudly, but no, it's hard if someone has not been raised to properly learn the give and take of relationships, to learn what true love looks like, and learn how to show the people in their life that they love them, then it messes them up.
Man, that's a real bummer. Jeez, and I'm not laughing at that. It's oh my god.
No,
Do you think it's,
you laugh or you cry?
well, is it abuse or just neglect, which is abuse?
Yes. In all the cases I worked in, which, I mean, that was kind of my job, but in all the cases I worked in, it was neglect, abuse, and it just, they had one parent that was, what's the term, gaslighting or something, really, really bad about, sure, I love you, but here, I'm going to hold this over your head, and now I'm going to take it away. And no, actually, I don't really love you. And so they would start getting to where they would hit a brick wall, and they would see it was like the Looney Tunes where they roll down the tunnel, and okay, you can run into the tunnel. And so they'd run and then smash head first into that brick wall. And then they got to where they would just put up their own brick wall.
Oh man. Yeah, where did you work to see all this?
I work in Oklahoma City, and the company it's changed hands and names since then. At the time, I worked under what was called Character First, and they were the training. We went through the training with them, and then we would go into like after school programs, and sometimes even into schools during the school period, and we would just counsel kids, and we would help them tutor them at the same time a lot of times, and try to help them in their grades. And then that was usually how we would kind of break in and get to that softer area in them to counsel them and stuff. So, and help them out of their problems, hopefully.
So the give and take in the book series, how is that the major theme of the book series, or just one of them?
It's really one of them. Again, there's, it's funny because we were thinking about this and thinking about, taking people, just regular people from this world, and putting them into this fantasy type environment. And I think a lot of times when you're going into the fantasy world, you definitely want to be able to identify with the characters. I mean, you get the hero that just, is, tried and true and has no problems, and it gets kind of boring. It's just, what you want to do is you want to have you want to get into the characters, you want to know what's going on with them, you want some kind of growth in there, and some of the biggest thing, especially with an ensemble cast, is how they play off each other, and then that's a lot of relationships back and forth. So and I mean, you get everything from, okay, so a lot of the characters have some kind of familial issues. So like Glow has daddy issues.
I was about to say, if you didn't say it, I was going to say it.
Oh no, he definitely has daddy issues, and he's just, his father is just this isolationist and just wants nothing to do with the world, and this kid is just like, yeah, but I got all this magic and powers, and I want to go help people. And it's like, so finally he gets to the point where, okay, so elves are long lived and he's a little slow. So he's 120 by the time he leaves home, so, but for him, that's about 18. So he's not old and tottering at least, but then, and then you have Seth, whose family background is they're pretty much really, really dark, bad people. And actually what ends up being the straw that breaks the camel's back is his father ends up killing one of his teachers. And so Seth at that point is just like, yeah, no, I'm gone, and just picks up and just leaves. And he's just so he's got some real interesting baggage with him. And then the other character, Axel, he's a complete orphan. His entire family's just gone, and gone under very strange circumstances. So there's different things there. Then one of the other characters, Andrella, so she's the daughter of the Baron and Baroness. Her uncle is the Duke of this big city, Dunwyn, and he wants to. He actually can't have kids of his own because he got cursed, which is a whole nother story. But which I could go. There's a whole world background in this world. But anyway, so his he wants her to be his heir apparent, so he's fawning all over her with sending her gifts and tutors and blah blah blah, and she's just like, but Uncle Kelvic, you're phony as heck. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so she wants nothing to do with any of these, and and the first guy that comes along finally, who's actually genuine, albeit a little stiff around the edges, but genuine, is this Lloyd character, and the two of them just fall for each other, so. But then, okay, so you have Glow's an idealist despite everything. So is Axel, although Axel's a little bit more pragmatic. And then you have Seth, who's nothing but a realist, and Lloyd, who's an idealist. And then they're all kind of offsetting each other. And but they all have their various talents, and they're trying to, well, most of them, the three, okay, so Seth is basically trying to hold these guys back from killing themselves. He gets very protective, which is interesting because you wouldn't be able to tell that from the way he talks. And then you have the Lloyd and Axel and Glow just want to help people. So, and then later on you get the Elven character coming in, and he's another pragmatist, but at the same time likes this idea of helping folks. So he's kind of a mixture. And so now how do all these play off each other? You get Andrella in there. You've got two other characters in the first book who are these mercenaries they hire, Brundon and Titan, who have this whole love-hate relationship going on. Well, really, they really love each other, but they kind of ignore it because they work together, and it's always coming out to the point where
their Facebook status says it's complicated.
Basically.
Yeah.
All right. So again, there's relationships left, right, and sideways. Like early on in one of the books, Glow's a little he's a little bit of a novice with magic and has this tendency to make mistakes and blow up things. So he's forever lighting things on fire, and Seth will never let him live that down. So he started by blowing up a vat of oil at one point, and then the next thing you know, he blew up an entire lighthouse, and the whole thing just to the ground. And Seth just absolutely will not let him live that down. So he's constantly calling him things like pyromaniac, and whenever he can.
I would say so.
Whoa. Yeah, I would say so too. So it's just, but there's always banter and back and forth, but there's a lot of Lloyd is very naive when it comes to girls. Actually, so is Glow. And there's this one barmaid who thinks Lloyd's very handsome. He's a handsome guy, and she's hitting on him, and he has no idea what to do with it. He's completely just does not know how to handle this thing. And it's fun to write a character like that because, he's just so, but then he sees Andrella and he's like, humna, but, and then, but it works out, it's funny. It's interesting that these characters have all these relationships and they go through it. And then they run into Andrella's uncle, who's a total xenophobe. Okay, so you have other races in here, and this gets into the whole tolerance issue. You've got Glow, who's an elf. Axel's a gnome. Seth is a halfling. And this guy can't stand any of them. And most of the people from his city, they can't stand any of them. So they're just like, it gets very difficult for them to deal with this because they're not used to they've only been out in the world very recently. They've only met each other for the most part in this town of Ravenford, and everybody's very grateful to them because they've helped them. But then all of a sudden
they've been heroes, and then all of a sudden they're like evil in somebody's eyes.
And this intolerance just, really hits them in the face to the point where some of them just don't know how to handle it. So there's all these different, so there's a bunch of themes. I mean, you've got the relationships, you got the give and take between the characters and other characters, and then you've got this tolerance theme. How do you deal with that? And then you've just got this whole a whole group dynamic of how do we work together?
Yeah, you've got
without
the whole
killing
range.
each other.
You've got the whole range of relationships going from the romantic to even just the professional. And his books are very relationship based in my mind. But it features people and personalities. So, and you have relationships where there are people and personalities. Exactly.
Why don't we get to the reading portion of the show? That's the fun stuff.
Yes.
Give us just a tiny bit of background on the scene before we get started.
Oh, okay. All right. So what has happened is the town of Ravenford, they've discovered that they have an undead issue, specifically vampires, and so
undead.
Yes, there we go. So they've managed to track at least some of these vampires to the basement of this one shop, and they've dealt with one of them, but they know there's more out there. And they're trying to track them down. And so they're in this basement now, and they're searching around. They're trying to see, because at least one of the vamps got away, and so this is where Seth is now. His specialty, as he calls himself, is he's a jack of all trades. And one of his trades is, searching out things that are hidden. So he's looking for this secret door. He finds one, and that's where this picks up.
He's a little bit more gruff, you would say?
All right. So here's a little quick one for you. I'm actually having my first book made into an audiobook as well. Ooh. And the guy who is this is actually a friend of mine who I've known since like 7th grade.
Wow.
And he's been forever trying to break into voiceover and stuff like that. And so he does great voices left and right. And so he's been doing this for me. And we were talking back and forth about, okay, how do we do these characters? And he was goofing around one day with me, and he did Seth's voice as kind of like a rocket from Guardians.
Oh,
so,
cool.
And the thing was, I listened to it and I loved it. And my son, who had played Seth, says, "Oh my God, that's perfect." So he has been, as recording the book, he's been doing it with that kind of voice. So you don't necessarily have to, but Seth is definitely kind of that smart ass.
And Eladin has an Elvis voice?
Yes. Well,
okay. All right.
Yes.
I'm good to go when you are, Andy.
Yeah, let's do this because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get to it.
All right, take it away, narrator Frank.
Okay, well, all right. This is going to go straight into Seth, so just be aware of that.
Yes.
So, click.
Child's play.
Seth murmured, punctuating the sharp sound. A moment later, he pushed against the section of the wall, revealing a secret door in the south wall of the basement. Kaelin's eyes went wide, thoroughly impressed with the halfling's latest accomplishment.
I want to learn to pick locks like that.
Seth cast a dubious glance in her direction.
Not that I'd ever use it.
Kaelin stepped up to the door and peered into a black, yawning tunnel.
That tunnel looks dark,
Martin commented over her shoulder. Kaelin rolled her eyes towards the archer, spiking an eyebrow. A wan smile pressed across Martin's face as he shrugged sheepishly. Seth grunted.
Probably used for smuggling.
Eladin chuckled at the halfling's remark.
Guess her old buddy at Halton was running more than one business.
The bard clapped Martin on the back.
We need someone to watch our backs. Charlotte's staying upstairs because she doesn't do the damp and dark. Would you mind remaining here and keeping an eye on things?
A look of relief flooded across Martin's features.
Sure, I can do that.
Kaelin bit her tongue, a cutting remark on the tip of it.
Stop hounding him. He's brave when it counts. You owe him your life twice now.
Glow stepped next to Kaelin, peering down the dark tunnel.
Should I cast light?
Seth snorted as he crossed his arms.
Sure, let's announce that we're coming.
Kaelin held back a giggle as Glow shot the halfling an acid glare. Reyna moved next close to Seth and looked up at Glow.
If you're worried about Kaelin and me, we can manage in the dark just fine.
Kaelin jerked her thumb towards Seth.
Yeah, I'll try not to step on darkness incarnate over here.
Reyna smiled.
Just follow me, Kaelin. I'll make sure you won't step on or trip over anything.
With that, she shifted into a wolf, wagging her long tail. Seth looked at Reyna, then up at Kaelin with a twist of his lips.
At least I don't need a seeing eye dog.
Reyna bared her teeth with a snarl, her green eyes glaring between Seth and Kaelin. Kaelin held up her hands defensively.
He said it, Reyna, not me. I take death fluffies like you very seriously.
She leapt back as Reyna snapped at her, drawing a snicker from everyone in the room. Seth shook his head as he disappeared into the tunnel.
If everyone could try to be quiet.
Reyna sniffed the tunnel, then looked up at Eladin and Glow with a questioning expression. Eladin gave her a quasi-smile.
Ladies first.
Kaelin slipped her bow over her shoulder and moved up next to Reyna.
Kaelin?
She paused and glanced back at Martin with a tilt of her head. The grim young man took a deep breath, his sad eyes searching hers.
Just be careful in there.
Kaelin nodded with a smile.
I'm with the heroes. What could go wrong?
A snort echoed off the walls of this waiting tunnel. Kaelin shifted her gaze toward the entrance, but it was too dark to see Seth.
What was it you said about being quiet, short stack?
Her question was met with stark silence. Kaelin stepped into the tunnel next to Reyna, using the occasional brush of the druid's fur to guide her through the darkness. The tunnel ran fairly straight and appeared to be clear of debris, making it easy to travel. She wasn't comfortable near the front of the line, but wanted to stick close to Reyna and keep the elves who could see in the dark behind her. A few minutes in, Kaelin found herself growing bored. It was pitch black, her eyes all but useless in the darkness. There was no sound except for the shuffling of feet, and only the smells she could detect were those of mold and damp dog fur. Her mind started to wander, and she suddenly felt Reyna halt and bristle. Kaelin crouched and waited breathless next to her friend, resting her hand on a wooden stake in her belt. Reyna shifted her stance, and Kaelin felt the hairs on her arms stand on one end.
Zombies.
Seth's voice came from directly in front of her. Kaelin squeaked, barely able to hold back a scream. She jumped backward, bumping into Glow. Seth snickered, his voice laced with sarcasm.
They're locked behind a door.
Kaelin growled.
Well, how was I supposed to know? I'm as blind as a beholder with no eye.
You jinxed us.
Eladin hissed from behind. Kaelin jumped again when Glow rested a hand on her shoulder.
Perhaps I can shed some light on the subject?
Seth let out a deep sigh.
If you must.
A soft light appeared behind Kaelin. Squinting, she turned around and found Glow shielding a bright light at the end of his staff. Her eyes quickly adjusted and scanned everyone in the group. When she was sure everyone was there, she nodded to Glow.
That's a lot better. Thanks.
Of course.
Glow smiled at her, his blue eyes shifting down to Seth.
How many zombies are there?
Seth held up 2 fingers.
Only 2?
Kaelin put her hands on her hips.
Why didn't you stab them or something?
Seth cocked his head slightly and narrowed his eyes.
You've never fought a zombie, have you?
Reyna suddenly stood up, taking on her normal form.
You can hack, stab, and slice zombies until the sun goes down. It won't make a difference. There's only one way to handle them quickly and effectively.
She looked at Glow with a demure smile and a twinkle in her green eyes.
I hear you're good with fire.
Seth snorted and Kaelin covered her mouth, trying to hide the smile crawling onto her lips. The elven wizard sighed and shook his head.
Never living that down.
We didn't say a word.
Elodin chuckled softly.
Exactly.
Glow moved past Kaelin and walked with Seth further down the tunnel to a solid wooden door. They both paused and listened at it for a moment before cracking it open an inch. Glow lifted his hand.
Now, Seth.
At the wizard's command, Seth shoved the door wide open, revealing two crooked figures in an open room. Glow pointed a finger, two magic words rolling off of his tongue.
Radius Ardens.
A split second later, two flaming darts leaped from his fingertips and raced down the tunnel into the room. With a series of pops and loud hisses, the flames engulfed the zombies. In a matter of seconds, the two fingers had shriveled into giant lumps of charcoal. Kaelin waved her hand in front of her nose as the stench of burnt flesh permeated the air.
That was it? Seriously?
Seth eyed her with obvious irritation.
You could have stayed back with Martin.
Kaelin crossed her arms and mimicked his stare.
I wasn't complaining. I just thought they'd be harder to kill is all. Oh, sorry. Fire and light magic are a zombie's greatest weakness.
Reyna explained as she moved around everyone and into the room cautiously. She inspected the smoldering bodies, shaking her head. Kaelin lowered her arms.
That's another thing. I thought we were hunting vamps, not zombies and imps. Where are they coming from?
Reyna turned back to the group, her expression grim.
We saw this in Twin Oaks. Vamps tend to surround themselves with lesser creatures like zombies and spawn.
Seth crossed his arms and stared around the group.
Wonderful. Why are we doing this again?
Kaelin's mouth dropped open in shock at the flippant question.
Well, to save Ravenford, of course.
Seth shook his head as if that answer wasn't good enough.
No. Seriously. Why?
Glow tilted his head and narrowed an eye at the halfling.
Because the Baron and Baroness have been so good to us?
Seth shook his head yet again.
One more time.
Elodin chuckled softly as he entered the room.
Because Lloyd is in love with Andrella.
A wicked grin spread across the halfling's lips as he nodded toward Elodin.
Yeah, that.
Kaelin huffed and crossed her arms in aggravation.
You're hopeless, short stack.
Seth ignored her and moved into the room, skirting around the charred bodies. Reyna nudged Kaelin in the side and whispered.
Just hopeless or a hopeless romantic?
Kaelin giggled with her friend, watching the corner of her eye as Seth cast a narrowed glare back at them. They fell silent, however, when he reached a door at the other side of the room and held up a finger to his mouth. Hand resting on the stake in her belt, Kaelin waited as Seth listened at the door. After a moment, he frowned and cautiously opened it. Everyone moved forward as one when he signaled that it was clear. As she passed through the door, Kaelin paused briefly until Glow's magic light had filled the room. It was a much larger room than the one before, finished with dusty, hexagonal table and 6 chairs. There was another door on the east side of the room and the yawning mouth of another tunnel in the south wall. Spying a few small round objects on the table, Kaelin approached and picked one up. She was instantly disappointed to find they were only painted wooden coins.
What is this?
She asked, turning and flipping the wooden coin to Elodin. Elodin caught it and looked it over, then smiled wryly.
This is a gambling chip. It seems Halton was running several businesses.
Kaelin picked up another chip from the table.
Gambling chips. Are they worth anything?
Glow moved closer, looking the chips over.
Only if you're gambling.
Seth humphed.
Gambling's for amateurs.
Kaelin dropped the chip and turned toward the south tunnel. She suddenly froze when her eyes fell on a small shadow lingering in the opening, just out of light's reach.
Whoa!
She drew the stake from her belt and fell into a defensive crouch. Everyone in the room followed her example. Kaylin blinked when a sad sniffle drifted from the tunnel.
Please don't hurt me.
A small voice whimpered.
I just want my mommy. I feel like that is the perfect place to stop.
Yeah, dang it, man. It was getting good too. Yeah, we gotta stop there.
That's okay.
That was fun. I really like, it reminds me of a dungeon crawl, which it basically was, right?
Yeah.
So have you played D&D before?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what he was saying, that this whole story was based on their campaign.
Oh, yeah. I was in the little girl's room. I apologize. You know how it is. But man, hey, so I wasn't even here to hear that, and that's what it sounded like to me. So bravo. And this was from what book?
This is actually from the 5th book in the series called The Baron's Heart. And that's, I definitely wanted to pick a section that both Kathryn and I had written. I almost called you Kaylin.
She's crazy, man. She's an ENFP, man. She'll fly to New Jersey, man.
Oh, I know. I'm very, very scared of that. Honestly, I on a regular basis, I send her a pack of yodels to mollify her, so she won't come looking for me.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with her. You'll have bedtime.
Someone was saying that your Elvis sounds a bit more like Goofy. It morphed into Goofy a little bit.
It absolutely did,
which was awesome. We are coming to the end of the show. So, Frank and Kathryn, where can readers find your books and you in general?
Buy books. Go to Amazon. That's the main place you can get ebook and paperback, which I do highly recommend the paperback. They are amazing. They look beautiful on the shelf.
We only buy paperback
under Kathryn Fogleman, right?
Oh yes, under Kathryn or KJ Fogleman on these books. Yes.
Okay.
My other books are Kathryn Fogleman, and then FP Spirit.
Yeah, well, Kathryn, you should also plug your Dragon series, by the way, real quick.
Yes.
Oh,
please do. Come on.
Okay. The Dragon Son is my personal series. I am in the process of rewriting the first one, and it's not bad, but my writing is much better now. So, anyway.
Wait, show of hands, how many people can say that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my writing's much better than it was when I started. Stevie, you're perfect. I forgot.
That's right.
Yes.
And well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm afraid of lightning bolts. Well, awesome. And Frank, I got to ask, is Spirit really your last name?
No, it is not. That is definitely a pseudonym.
I was going to say that's some bull crap.
Yes, isn't it?
Not fair.
Yes, right? And that'd be great if it was, right?
That would be awesome. And Frank, where can people find you?
Okay, I have a website, fpspirit.com, and then my books are on Amazon, as same as Kathryn's, and both in ebook and print. And with any luck, the audiobooks will be out on Audible. Well, the first one should be out, I'm hoping, with December. So
very
awesome,
cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, go and check that out. We do have one last question for you guys.
The question is the one that I totally warned you about that you needed to think about, even though you didn't know what it was. The question is, what do you think are 2 vital habits or traits for a successful human being? Not a successful writer, but a successful human being. Go for it.
Ooh, listening.
I love that.
Good one.
And number 2?
Tolerance.
There, excellent.
Man,
great answers.
We haven't had yet.
Yeah, Kathryn, what do you think?
For a successful human being, well, the first thing that came to my mind was being well read. All the successful people I know are very well read.
We've only had one. That's good. Wow.
And the second one?
Well, the second thing that comes to mind is, I don't know how to say it necessarily, but being conscious of the circle of life and knowing that there's an end coming, and most of the successful people I know are always trying to get things done before that comes.
Wow. So
I like it.
Dang. Yeah. So Andy, we have not had one thing alike. I think maybe empathy and apathy. Maybe
No one said apathy, Stevie.
I said apathy.
No one says apathy is a trait for being successful.
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, thank you guys very much. My last bit of news. I'm going to make this real quick. I have come out with a clothing line. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to share it with everyone here, but start thinking about it. It is a philanthropic business. It gives 50% to cancer charity, mental wellness charities, and spinal charities. So if you guys are interested, please let me know. I may share it. I'm coming up with the designs. It's emo punk alternative stuff, skulls, and it's a little bit crude, and I can do whatever I want with it because I'm giving it away to charity. So it's my business. So I'm considering, and it's called, well, I can't tell you that. So if you guys are interested, let me know. If you don't think it pertains to fantasy, I'll shut up about it. But that is my good news. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and that's it for the show tonight. Join us on Monday night at 6 o'clock for an episode of Deranged in Questing. What's happening? So the heroes are in a goblin village and trying to not kill all the goblins, but it's probably going to end up with a lot of goblins dying because that's exactly what Grak is. And they've managed to talk him out of it for now, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna go the other way. So it's gonna be a ton of fun. So Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Join us on Twitch at Deranged in Questing D&D. We'll see you there. Have an awesome night, Frank and Kathryn. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys were amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Love
for having
reading.
us.
Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a good night. Bye. Get out of here. Where's my water bottle?